ಶ್ರೀ ಗಣೇಶ ಶಾರದಾ ಗುರುಭ್ಯೋ ನಮಃ. ಉತ್ತರಂ ಯತ್ ಸಮುದ್ರಸ್ಯ ಹಿಮಾದ್ರೇಶ್ಚೈವ ದಕ್ಷಿಣಂ ವರ್ಷಂ ತದ್ ಭಾರತಂ ನಾಮ ಭಾರತಿ ಯತ್ರ ಸಂತತಿಃ. Welcome to all for this session on Skanda Purana to chapter 20 of Kaumarika Khanda under the Maheshwara Khanda. In the previous chapter, we were seeing the defeat of Devas in the hands of Daityas. First, it was Yama who lost the fight, and then it was Kubera who lost the fight. Varuna and Chandra ran away from there. Even Sun God could not able to withstand the fight with the Daityas. And after that, Indra and all the gods eulogized Vishnu, and they invoked Vishnu, who came into the battlefield to fight with the Daityas. Narada, who is telling this story to Arjuna, continued the story. On seeing him, all the Danavas became infuriated, like bees hovering around wine distilled from grapes. All of them were surrounded by their own respective armies. They obstructed the path from all sides. Nimi was seated on a terrible elephant resembling a mountain, with ichor oozing, for it was irrepressible. There were white banners of various sizes over it. Its cheeks were slightly broken. It had a golden color, and so the elephant appeared like a mountain covered by forest fire. The strong Daitya Nimi mounted that elephant in the course of the battle and marched against Hari. 27 crores of terrible Dhanavas shining with crowns and coats of mail were the protectors of that elephant. Mathana rode on a horse resembling a mountain and attacked Hari. Jambaka was seated on a camel with a neck of 5 yojana long. Shumbha marched riding on a ram 12 yojanas long. The other leading Danavas too got ready with various weapons in their hands. They were enraged against Vishnu, who was unwearied, that means indefatigable. He was not getting any fatigue at all in action. Daitya Nimi came with a Parigha iron bar. Mathana came with a Mudgara. In the course of that great battle, Shumbha came with a spear of sharp point, Grasana with a barbed missile, Prathana with a discus, and the infuriated Jambha with a Shakti. They hit Narayana with all these weapons. The remaining ones hit him with arrows that could split vital parts. Those missiles discharged by them entered Purushottama like the instructions of a preceptor, repeated many times, entering a good disciple. Then the infuriated Hari took up his bow and excellent arrows. He suppressed the Daitya army in the same manner as Arthavachas, that is, talk about the Artha, that is wealth. Suppress the Arthavachas, those who speak about the wealth, how they suppress the Dharma. He pierced Nimi with 20 arrows, having fierce splendor, Mathana with 10, Shumbha with 5. The infuriated Madhava pierced Mahisha in the chest with 100 arrows, Jambha with 12 sharp arrows, and all the others with 8 arrows each. On seeing his agility and dexterity, the Danavas became excessively infuriated. They exerted themselves much, covering Hari with arrows. Danava Nimi cut off his bowstrings with a bhalla. With great excitement, Mahishasura cut off the bow from his hand. Jamba inflicted injury that he wounded Garuda by means of 30,000 arrows. Shumbha pierced his arms with 10,000 arrows. Thereupon Madhava, surprised in mind, seized a mace. He dispatched it with great velocity towards Mathana in the course of the great battle. Even before it reached him, Nimi struck it with thousands of arrows resembling a threshing rod. He caused it to fall down and roared like a black cloud. Thereupon the Bhutas began to shout, Ha ha! Obviously, never was such power manifested whereby that mace was shattered to smithereens. On seeing it fallen down like a prayer to a wrong person, Hari seized a mallet of very terrible nature, adorned with divine gems and jewels. With great force, he hurled it at aiming at Danava Nimi. As it was coming, three Daityas warded it off in a firmament itself. Daithya Jambha curved it with an iron club, Grasana with a sharp-edged spear, and Daitya Mahisha with a javelin. All of them roared very loudly on seeing it destroyed completely like a good man by wicked persons. He took up a very fierce Shakti with a having the loud sound of 100 bells. In the course of the terrific battle, he discharged it, aiming it at Jambha. On seeing it coming, Jambha hurriedly jumped from his chariot and sportingly caught hold of it in the same manner as a lover catching the hold of his beloved. That powerful Daitya laughed and struck Garuda on his head with the same Shakti. Then he went back to his chariot, took up a bow, and began to engage himself in fighting. On being hurt and pained by the Shakti in the course of battle, Garuda became unconscious. Then, O descendant of Bharata, Vishnu laughed and said, "Well done, well done." With a stroke of his hand, he revived the son of Vinata from his state of unconsciousness and consoled him with gentle words, just as everything planned by a man who was a wicked and vile wife became futile, so also the Shakti became futile. Whereupon he fixed another great bowstring of high durability to his bow. After making a twanging sound by slapping his palms, he released a Raudra missile with Rudra as its presiding deity. On account of refulgence of the missile, the entire firmament became invisible. The earth, the cardinal points, and the intervening spaces shone as though they were full of arrows. On seeing the great power of that missile, Asura Grasana, the commander in chief, immediately discharged a Brahma missile that could oust and ward off and quell all the other missiles. On account of that, the Rudra missile that had been terrible unto all the world became subsided. When that missile that had been repelled, Vishnu, the slayer of Danavas, discharged Kala, Kaladandastra that terrified all the worlds. When that missile was being fixed, invoked, and discharged, a tempestuous wind began to blow. Goddess Earth quaked, and the ocean was split asunder. On seeing the fierceness of that missile, Danavas became very ferocious in the battle. They made use of various kinds of divine missiles in the course of the battle. Grasana made use of Narayana missile. Nimi discharged the excellent missile of Kastra. Jambha made use of Aishikastra for the purpose of fighting and repelling the Danda missile, which is the Kaladandastra. By the time the missile of Narayana, etc., were being fixed and were ready to be discharged for the purpose of repelling that Kaladandastra, that Ganda had killed in a moment a crore of leading Daityas. Afterwards, on account of the clash with the missile of Daityas, the missile Kaladanda had its fearful nature subsided. On seeing his own missile subdued, Hari, out of anger, assumed the form of the deadly fire which happens at the end of the world. He took up his discus, which had the luster of 10,000 blazing suns. Its spokes were very fierce. It appeared like his second self. It was ablaze with fiery flames. The four-armed lord gripped it well and hurled it against the commander in chief in the course of the fight. On seeing the discus advancing, the excellent Daityas tried to ward off that extremely terrific discus. completely in every aspect by means of their own prowess, but they could not do so in the same manner as the fierce destiny due to the accumulation of past karma cannot be dispelled. That discus, which was like the fresh blazing rays of the sun, and the movement of which could not be comprehended, fell on the neck of Grasana. Its terrible nave became red by the flowing stream of blood of the Daitya. Then once again it returned to the hand of the enemy of Murha. In the course of that battle, Dhanava was struck down by the discus. He fell on the ground and died. The remaining Daityas became excessively sad and angry. Some of them struck their arms and wrung their heads. Thereupon, when Grasana, the Daitya chief of the army, was killed, the other Danavas fought with hurry without any check or restraint. They fought with sharp edged spears, threshing rods, barbed missiles, maces, and iron lances and bars. They fought with arrows of very sharp points, discuses, and javelins. With arrows comparable to the flames of fire, Janardana, who took perfect aim, split into 100 pieces each one of those volleys of missiles discharged by them. The infuriated Janardana killed crores and crores of them. Thereupon they all gathered together suddenly and fell upon Keshava. Some of them seized Garuda by both the feet. Hundreds of asuras hung suspended from his wings. Others hung down from his beak. The great Daityas roared frequently and hung down from the bow of Keshava, his two arms and his head. On seeing that great wonderful feat, Siddha, Charanas, and the emissaries of Devas cried loudly, Ha ha! They eulogized Hari. Hari shook them off and caused them to fall on the ground like an enlightened man shaking off all the blemishes arising from the worldly existence. Vishnu drew out his excellent sword Nandaka from its cupboard and took up the stainless shining shield as well. He rushed after them on foot. Within a muhurta, that is 48 minutes, Keshava cut off on the way 1000 billions of excellent Daityas after moving about many times in the battlefield. Then the excellent Asura, Nimi, and others roared. Those great warriors rushed at Keshava, who was coming on foot. Garuda too came there quickly. Hari climbed onto its back. In that tumultuous battle, he said to Garuda, O Tarksha, if you are not tired, proceed towards Mathana. If you are tired, go away from the battlefield for a short while. Tarksha, mean the Garuda, said, O Lord of the world, I am not at all fatigued because I remember with regret something, that is, the fact that Taraka has made my sons his vehicle. In fact, the sons of Garuda, they had become vehicle for the chariot of Taraka. Saying this, he went towards Daitya Mathana. On seeing the Lord holding the conch, discus, and the iron club face to face, he struck him on his chest with Bindipala that had very sharp edges, without minding that blow at all. In the course of that great battle, Vishnu struck him with 5 arrows that could pierce through even lordly mountains. On being hit in the chest with 10 arrows drawn as far as the ear, he swooned, but Mathana regained consciousness within a short while. He took up Parigha and hit Janardana on his head. On account of that blow, Vishnu reeled a bit. Thereupon, rolling his eyes in anger, Madhava seized the iron club. With that, he hit Mathana forcefully on the chest. With his limbs shattered to pieces, he fell on the ground and died. When Mathana fell on the ground after being utterly thrashed, all those Daityas became utterly tired, exhausted, and dejected on the battlefield. When those Danavas of great honor and prestige became spiritless and despondent, Mahisha, the lord of the Danavas, became angry with his eyes turned red. That terrible Mahisha who rushed at Hari depending solely on the strength of his arms attacked Hari with keen-edged lance. The hero forcefully struck Garuda on the chest with his Shakti. Thereupon the Daitya opened his mouth, which resembled the cave in a big mountain. In the course of that battle, he wished to swallow Achyuta along with Garuda. On coming to know the intentions of Dhanava, the highly powerful lord filled his mouth with divine weapons. On being injured and struck by those missile charged arrows, Mahisha, who resembled a mountain, fell down and died. Half of his body rolled down. On seeing Mahisha fallen down, Hari resuscitated his life and said to Mahisha, O Danava, you do not deserve death from me. You are to be killed by a woman as mentioned by lotus born Lord Brahma himself. Get up, you have been released by me. Go quickly from this great battle. On being told thus by Hari, the Asura went away from that spot. When Daitya Mahisha was turned away, Danava Shumbha hit his lip sternly and knitted his eyebrows, making the whole face appear crooked. He thrashed one of the hands with the other, took up a terrible bow, stringing the bow and drawing, he released hundreds of very terrible arrows. He fought in a wonderfully diverse manner. He hit hard with his fists. With the Daitya, hit Vishnu and Garuda with many arrows resembling the flames of blazing fires discharged without any obstacle. On being afflicted much by the arrows of the leading Daitya, Vishnu took up a Bhushundi missile resembling the Lord of Death. With that, he pounded to powder the shoulder bone of Shumbha in the course of the battle. The collar bone that shone like a mountain, he smashed his face also with arrows drawn as far as the ear, and having the color and refulgence of fire and the sun, he hit them. With 3 arrows he hit Shumbha's arm, the head of the charioteer with 62 arrows, and with 10 arrows he hit the flagstaff of Daitya. On being hit by them and frustrated by them, the leading Daitya was smeared with blood that flowed from his body. He appeared to be losing his courage. Then the Lord, with a conch, lotus, and sharanga bow in his hand, spoke to him. O inauspicious Shumbha, you are destined to be easily killed in a very few days by a woman. You do not deserve to be killed by me. O deluded one, it is futile. Thereupon that Dhanava Shumbha went away. On hearing those words of Vishnu's mouth, Jambha roared loudly like a lion, shaking the world with his loud, boisterous laughter. In the course of the battle, he spoke the following words sportively. O resider in waters, what have you to do with these Daityas deficient in exploits? Come to me in the course of this battle if you have any manliness left anywhere. It was because Jambha was not present then that Hiranyaksha and other Daityas could be killed by you formerly. See me standing ready now. Oh, hurry! Have a look at these arms of mine resembling palm trees, or the excessively hard chest resembling the thunderbolt. Strike me, that will be a pleasure. On being told thus by him, Keshava licked the corners of his mouth angrily and hurled a terrible iron bar that could split even mountains. Then immediately thereafter, Vishnu hurled a hard mallet which was made of iron, which appeared like a second mountain. On seeing those 2 weapons, Jambha placed his bow in the chariot. He jumped down and seized the coming iron bar. With that, he hit Garuda. After that, he took up a second weapon, a mallet, roaring in the course of the battle, and using all his vital aids and force, he hit Govinda on the head. On account of those two severe blows, both of them, Garuda and Keshava, fell into swoon. They were unconscious and were almost like dead. On seeing that great wonderful fate, the excellent Daityas roared. This universe did not brook them as they were swayed with delight and pride, that encouraged Jambha with lion-like roars, sounds of the slapping and clapping of hands, the twangs of the bowstrings, and the sounds of the arrows. They waved their clothes, they filled the corns and hurled the devatas. Hari regained consciousness in the course of great battle along with Vainateya. He embraced Jambha, then he turned his face away from the unavoidable fight and rapidly fled from the battlefield. Thus ended chapter 20 of the Kaumarika Khanda in the Maheshwara Khanda of Skanda Purana. Namaste Sharada Devi, Kashmir Puravasini, Swamaham Prarthaye Nityam, Vidya Danancha Dehime. Goodbye.